Alex Answer here. The day is starting. I'm just going to turn down the radio. I have the generator going outside. Very cold here in southwest Colorado. It's -4 degrees at the moment. And I want to talk to you about why the left, on a larger level, and I'm speaking as an independent, but why they're losing the war to the far right. This is more of a message to them. There's a lot of people out there that identify with being a part of the left. There's a lot of ways in which people kind of stereotype and say, okay, well, this side's bad and this side's good. And maybe with regards to certain issues, and maybe it's easy for people on the left to take certain positions, but yet at the same time, not actually deal with the root causes of where these deep seated illusions of separation are really coming from. How do people on the left gatekeep against the truth to the point to where it works against themselves and their own interests? You know, people that are really passionate about the voting process are also at times very passionate about people that are third party, passionate about their views that those people are there to steal votes against either a Democrat or a Republican candidate. That it's going to take away, from their potential for success. Now, I want you to take that concept and I want you to apply it to this. Every time people on the left call something a conspiracy theory, they are working against themselves and their own causes. And they wouldn't even understand the idiocracy of even their own intellectualism. So when you're dealing with hardcore white supremacists, for example, you don't then just kind of go, oh, that's conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theory has been around for a long time and includes theories about how the right has so much power. Not all theories include aliens. Not all theories about aliens should be stepped on by ethnocentric attitudes of arrogance that step on the teachings of the people of the third world. You see, because there's ways in which the left falls in line with judging people that sound different, that speak differently, that look at spiritual texts that may go back thousands of years. They may even be so arrogant that they look beyond elements of early Christianity, also known as the Gnostics, and what they said about the archons, what they said about the fall of this world. There's a lot of arrogance out there. There's a lot of gender and racial superiority based on the illusions of separation, the hot bodies of this world. There's plenty of them on the left. They do a little shaky, show us their beautiful expression of life, and act like that is superior to others that have a different view of reality, specifically the battle of good and evil, and how it's playing out today, in foreign policy, how we have a bipartisan conspiracy that somehow has managed to agree on one thing while they appear to be fighting in the streets. They appear to agree on not counting the dead bodies of the millions of people overseas. The people on the left and the right appear to agree to be offended when I attempt to speak to their soul inside their body that's identifying with these left-right politics, man, woman, gender, duality, classism, have a job, not have a job, do you have a home, or homeless. Just these levels of duality. You're either on this side or that side, but there's plenty of space and place for the gray area. So as things, because I heard, it's NPR, they're talking about the KKK, talking about riding on Washington. In the end, the system is catapulting not only these fascistic systems, they also control elements of protests on both sides in some cases, but specifically politics. Because when you see people fighting in Washington, Nancy Pelosi versus Trump or other things, that isn't a real struggle. It is presented to be a real struggle on television. On television. And when we go deeper into true anti-racist studies, the real reason so many are angry with Donald Trump, and we're talking about the elements of America that aren't any better, that were quiet about the people that were murdered before Trump even came on the scene. You know, the people that aren't necessarily better, just because they're not running around like grabbing that ass or something else and talking a bunch of smack, right? Actions speak louder than words. You've heard this before. So when I've come across people's fear, the leftist woman fear, the leftist woman judgment, even Chloe in Costia County, Colorado, a Bernie supporter. When she heard about my ethnicity on my father's side, I'm pretty much telling the cliff notes of my story. Her main question to me is, okay, so what's your views on women? What? Just because of what I am genetically, this leftist Portland girl is going to sound like there's a reason why it's not just the right wing. When people like me, men like me, biracial men like me, not multicultural, unicultural, get your language down in an accurate manner. Because people are taught to speak garbly-goo, so everything's confusing. Oh, multiple cultures, multiple. No, one culture, one language. I just came out of the oven burned. That I'm gonna get that soundboard one of these days, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe some little something for my feet. Do a little click here and there. I mean, this is not intending to be a comedy show. Hey, but if I can pull it out, it's like I've always seen myself as a advisor of men and women out of compassion. There's going to be things that I'm not happy about as a soul that's been thrust into this prison planet with so many of you. Let's be frank. Now, I appreciate the people that are directly listening and supporting. The energy that I feel back, even vibrationally, feels very high, higher than previous full moons. I have the heat going right now. I am not going to be able to get to town for about 4 or 5 days. I appreciate your prayers, your positive thoughts. Somebody did even invite me to visit another state. I don't know about that so soon, but it's nice to at least be thought of. Um, Things to consider. I think I have a little bit of phobias about travel, but why is that? Why is that, Alex? Why do you have phobias about travel? And it's because of how all of this just programming about you know what, and barbarians over the wall, caravan, terrorists, everything. It's difficult for me to travel. I feel like sometimes I just need a makeover, but I'll never dye my hair blonde, folks, and you can quote me on that. But you know what? When I see people doing that in today's day and age, I know where it's coming from. And it's not coming from a place of high self-esteem. When people that don't naturally have blonde hair do that. And there's nothing wrong with people with blonde hair by saying that. We should appreciate who we are as we were made. We don't necessarily need to have green hair or purple hair either. Sometimes those women that were born with natural blonde hair just let it shine. Maybe we don't need the green streak, but not that that's necessarily to be deemed ugly because they're choosing to express their individuality. I'm just not a fan of fads. That's all. But are there fads of fear? Yes. That's why I said in a previous video, if I was born in 1970 and I grew up in Portland to be 18 in 98, oh man, I would have had a lot more exciting of a time dating people, and it would have been the pre 9/11 world. There's an up and a down to everything, though. In the post 9/11 world, in my interactions with females before things got really crazy, or the ways in which, because I would meet some people on Craigslist between that period of 2008, 9, and 10. And I would talk about the things that I generally cared about. It was not tailored towards, i.e., just getting laid. It was about just hanging out with other people that were also looking for the truth, and things of that nature. They're on a certain level. They would appreciate me for me, knowing that there's not a lot of men like me. And it was difficult to find that, but there was more of that type of, well, maybe let's hang out for a day or a couple of days in each other's arms, see how that goes. There was more of a willingness in the 2000s, a little bit of more, a little bit more exploring, but nothing really major. And then it would be in recent years when they really started amping up the propaganda, including domestic Islamic terrorism stories about Orlando. So things that were even happening under Obama. So don't make all this about Trump for those of you that are on the left. And I saw the shifting of the tides per se under Obama. 2011, 2012, the world was already becoming colder. Years before Trump even announced, Trump is a part of a process, whether you want to hear that or not, for the Trump Kool-Aid drinkers. But I don't think there's tons of you left on this channel. And that's why I don't mind having about 100 views at this point, because the authentic nature of the audience feels that it's at its strongest. And that's where we want to keep this. Not me trying to appease my audience members, other ones, so I can take this to 300 views, 400 views, 500 views. I'm cool with you being the people that are here, hearing this message. And may there be people that identify with the left being the saviorship of the minorities against the racist right wing. Okay, that's the way they're going to look at it. They need to understand that there's another side of the story. They need to understand the idea of someone like me, the specific birth that I had in Portland, Oregon, being exiled. We're not going to obsess on this, but we're covering like the Cliff Notes basics and my travels throughout America under Obama. And there wasn't exactly a whole lot of love and open arms that I experienced. The danger of exiling people and putting them in the box of conspiracy theory and letting them put themselves in the box of conspiracy theory. Who cares if Jesse Ventura is on TV for a few years, with that being the name of the show? Maybe that was just a setup to get us to go along with being labeled conspiracy theorists. That's not good, because in the end, you have people that are generally into hardcore conspiracy theories that are disinformation, and there's a lot of men and women that are led astray, and it's difficult for that to be our only third option. So there's left, there's right, and if you want to be woke, then you're a conspiracy theorist, you know. And then some people get a little fanatical with their religious perspectives. I aim to not get fanatical, but I don't even want my supernatural beliefs or understandings to overshadow ideas of self-responsibility in this physical plane of reality, where we have to move our lives and our success and our evolution, our true spiritual ascension forward without playing victim. Now, I'm in that role now. On one level, I feel that I've been exiled from society. On another level, we have divine intervention that assisted me in escaping from Portland, Oregon. And then I tried to go to another county in Colorado to live there, and they wouldn't let us. And I was angry. It was good they didn't let us. That's not a good spot. Things happen as they're meant to be. So I am meant to be here. But it doesn't mean that there isn't memories. And right now, like, the whole world is all up in arms about the KKK and legitimate issues. But do they really understand where Islamophobia comes from? Or are they gatekeeping even now in 2019? The answer is yes. That's enough to bring tears to my eyes, but I've cried enough already, and I'm really just high on caffeine at the moment, so I just got to get out the thought. So you have people like Ted Wheeler in Portland and others that have played their role under Obama, and I'm not labeling him specifically. I'm generically discussing left-sided politicians. Joanne Hardesty seems to be a beautiful woman who has some decent issues that she's bringing to the table, you know, but I still kind of see a lot of people that identify with Democrats and the left as gatekeepers that judge people that go to a certain level of conversation. And see, so they weren't calling me libtard um, back in the day. They were calling me a right winger. The early days of promoting some of Alex Jones's content totally worked against me and discredited me in the eyes of people that were a little older, and seeing people like Alex Jones come and go, people that were a little bit more experienced with people like Alex Jones being supported by elements of the far right. I had less experience, life experience, seeing agent provocateurs in real action like Alex Jones. Now, some people don't want to hear that, but they need, it would be great if they had the adult maturity, especially Trump supporters of today, to be able to see how much work I did to share the work and some of the ideas that he brought to our attention in the early 2000s, you know, while most people were still sleeping and lighting off fireworks, the sounds of bombs dropping on Afghanistan and Iraq. There's like a whole like generation of people that say that they just woke up or something. I don't know what that's about. I mean, you'd have to be like really, that's not a person that's naturally waking up when they should be waking up if they're saying that they were sleeping during the previous administrations and now they're woke. I have a hard time believing that they're awake. So we have fake awakening movements when they should have been waking up the day that those planes hit those buildings, that event that got us in these wars that never seem to end, these wars that seem to result in a blank check. Wars were not meant to pay back. So someone doesn't have to go on a fringe level. They can strictly look at economics and go, This mathematically looks like we're set up for a fall. Now, fast forward. Economic collapses and rises of the far right usually go together. Now, is it perfectly logical to, after America's been hit with massive indoctrination that Muslims are a threat, to then import Muslims into those communities where they're seen as a threat? So is the left really protecting Muslims, or is the left in some cases putting Muslims in danger by turning the other way, calling certain things conspiracy theories? What are the things that they call conspiracy theories? We'll try to not go on too long, but get right to the point, let you think about this for a little bit, then we'll come back. Because this is the kind of conversation to where people like me that have been exiled by people that call themselves the rational left, they need to think real long and hard where all this hatred came from. It was already existing before Donald Trump. People were already looking at me sideways in 2013. I was already going through a body scanner, leaving Philadelphia, leaving Mark Passio's For Your Mind conference. You think that I didn't think that my last name and my heritage had something to do with the fact that first they scanned me, then they treated me like crap as they patted me down. Then in 2016, someone falsely claimed I assaulted them when I was just simply struggling when he grabbed my camera. I've seen a string of unfortunate things happen to me in recent years, and I can see a common denominator. And the prejudice that your end of politics is taught to have against conspiracy theorists, you completely overlook when we're working not so much on the behalf of the left, but behalf of people that are vulnerable community members, on behalf of people. And I can't let the left own that, because you have, as a whole, the left has turned its back on me. And so when I can look at my comment sections and go, okay, well, these are like rational, independent people in my core 100 base that love my content. And I appreciate you guys. But yet I'm going to alienate all the Democrats and liberals that supposedly are open minded and supposedly want to stand against Islamophobia. Now, I'm not a Muslim, but racism, um, does exist, and they use the Islam threat to also expand that to ethnicities, even if you're not Muslim. There are people on the internet that on one side of their mouth say Muslims are not a race, Islam is not a race, while treating people that look foreign like a Muslim. They're hypocrites and they're bullshitters. So they are, in reality, and this is what's terrifying to people like me and other non-Muslims that are afraid of what's going on. If you look a certain way or have a certain ethnicity or DNA or last name to a certain demographic of people that are really on the race war theology, they're using anti-Islam as a cover for a greater ethnic cleansing. This is why, pay attention, right-wing nutcases, your daddy, Donald Trump, hangs with the Saudis, because the Saudis for a long time have been involved in ethnic cleansing in the Middle East. It's way more complex than what you and I have been educated enough to understand. They don't tell us about the Saudis. Do you understand? There's more to know other than just Wahhabism. It's ethnic cleansing. What are they doing in Yemen? And who are these individuals, rebels, on a deeper level that are resisting the Saudi genocide? Why don't we get the full story about Yemen? But let's just reel it back. So this is why ultimately we have a situation, and there has to be a certain level of propaganda to convince people to be quiet while millions just die. And this was going on for years and years and years. And so the millennial generation, what they call the alt-right millennial stars, they were bred almost as if like warriors are bred for war, like something out of Lord of the Rings. They were bred for the propaganda war. I'm not kidding. And a certain amount of them will be bred to put some of us into concentration camps. And the whole technological backbone, including Gab, is being set up for when the signal is sent. And because the left can't deal with topics like manufactured events that might not be what they are, that's why I think they've made such a big deal about Sandy Hook and people denying that. So thus, people denying other things can be put in the same category. They did the same thing with making the questioning the event that got us in these wars synonymous with Alex Jones, when Alex Jones is more or less synonymous with a Klan now. While keep saying that he protests the Klan and all these things, I think those were all deliberate publicity stunts because he was already in control. The FBI and the feds and others already controlled him to a certain degree. So he had always tried to make himself to be, and that's the thing, the left failed miserably after the event that got us in these wars, to really ask the questions and to let a guy like AJ be the dominating, I guess, voice of perceived reason. So then he can also catapult certain theories regarding that day that may not have the most weight. He may send people in different directions or talk about things that may have been fake news for back in the day, but there are legitimate things to ask about that day that got us in these wars. Were they people that more or less could have been seen as left leaning that were questioning that day shortly afterwards, in the years afterwards? I'd say so in independence. And I think that Alex Jones did a lot to dominate the movement. And so the left dropped the ball. You see, a couple years ago, I talked about the Patriot movement dropping the ball by not seeing through the wildlife refuge takeover psyops, which I think was set up by our own government. So you have people that are on the right that are so dumb that they believe what's on Facebook without realizing they control Facebook, and they're entrapping them and they're spying on their private messages. I was talking about this years ago. Instead, all my videos were demonetized, all of them, like to send me a signal. This was at the end of 2015, 2016. And it would be in recent years that I learned that when they really put out that hardcore fake Islamic rape, Sharia law invasion news, they focused and targeted 3 states out of the 50. Those states, again, are Colorado, where I am, Virginia, and Florida. And my experience with leftists was horrible as a result of all this disinformation. It wasn't just Trump supporters, it was Bernie supporters. And I don't ever recall anyone ever speaking to me at all for any reason that claimed to be a Hillary supporter. And the algorithm, a word that all of you should be very familiar with, has exclusively sent me people from the right wing when it suggests my content instead of spiritual channels. And unfortunately, YouTube puts all of us that question official stories on the side of the right. And that's not right. That's not accurate. That's not accurate at all. So also on the other side, does that make me Black Lives Matter if I question some story regarding a black man being shot? We're now in a day and age where if you have a certain talking point, the machine has put us into a category. And that's pretty messed up that there isn't like a so-called peace movement that doesn't fly under the flag of Antifa. It also seems to be social engineering. What happened to the real peace movement? Is really everything about like Trump supporters, the far right versus the far left, while like moderate conservatives and liberals stay home and watch the world burn? Is there really no place for people like us? But I consider myself to be an independent who has had donations come in and maybe some friends. Friends is a strong word. Haven't had many friends in this life. I had associates. So I've had associates on the left and the right, Democrats and Republicans, that at least for a moment saw something in Alex Ansary, or there was some element of my skill set that at that moment they were able to apply. When they were not able to apply my skill set or my truth was not resonating with them, like someone that I posted some news from, all real news from real websites. Apparently, that was the wrong thing to do for the dude that really loves fake news. And I'm not kidding. So this individual, for a certain person with a website, got rid of me after a few years because his drinking of the Trump Kool-Aid stuff went in some really dark directions to where, I don't think that he is a legitimate alternative media guy. Not at all. I have no evidence. But it's like there are people that are in the realm of talking about certain conspiracy theories that are really popular on the internet, and most of what they talk about is totally fake. Now, I don't know if people on the left that like to play this game of you're a Trump supporter, we're the conscious leftists, and those are the crazy conspiracy theorists that support Trump. Don't you know about the conspiracy theories regarding how Trump was able to deceive so many people? Aren't you aware that there are conspiracy theories now that are on the news about Russia? Aren't you aware that I've been talking about Russia for 10 years, but not ever recommending going to war, just simply warning? You see, there's a place just warn about what someone had a dream about, and like taking it to another level of calling for war and this, that, and the other, and putting out propaganda, Rachel Maddow style. That's something else. By the way, uh, Rachel Maddow is being called the Alex Jones of the left. And it's like, this is the perfect example. The perfect example is that how the left has demonized people like me that are actual minorities, while they themselves, let's just be frank, in some cases have shown white supremacy. In a world where you just keep blaming Trump and Trump supporters for something that you guys can show yourself guilty of, Portland, Oregon, 40 top reasons why Portland's awesome, Willamette Week editorial, number 17 or something, one of the whitest cities in the United States. That's not a right-wing newspaper. That's the left engaging in a conspiracy against itself and its own credibility. So if the left wants to go in a direction of talking about like Russian bots and Russian agents, you're dealing with conspiracy theory. And at some point, the arrogance of the modern left has to rise to the point where maybe you become so concerned about this nation's history that you will stop placing prejudice against people like myself that have actually been on this case a little bit early. The case of Russia, discussing potentially an agenda. This would be like misogyny on steroids, the agenda to human traffic along the West Coast. Like some of the buzzwords and things that people are concerned about, like even like the fanatical elements of the Me Too may be based on intuition as to what's coming to women in the future. And they're not actually able to tap into it. Everything's called a conspiracy theory. But yet, if you see, because I want you to address your own supremacy ideology, gender and racial supremacy. So if you see, like a supposed, Om from the Higher Self YouTube channel, start with a little gong, and out comes this beautiful woman, or maybe the girl's hanging out with Rich West, like Om, hi everyone, I'm going to tell you how to be happy and spiritual, but not talk about the issues that matter, not talk about like millions. It doesn't mean that they have to get all negative and depressed, but to say, hey folks, there does seem to be a dark side in our world that thinks that some people just shouldn't be alive. Maybe we need to talk about this. But there's plenty of people that don't do that. And it raises basic questions. Is there a genetic disposition to not feel for other types of blood? That's not accusing one of racism, but it's asking a question. So when we talk about the fact that we were made differently, are some people literally of a genotype that they have no feelings for the people that are being called off this planet? Because if you have people that are even using like, sacred geometry, like the image you're showing now, saying that everything is all peaceful and we've already moved out, we're already in the fifth dimension, we're already having the ultimate orgasm, how do these lies produce justice, Nellie Fuller Jr.? How do we produce justice when we deny the most basic things that are taking place to not only African Americans, people of the Middle East, people of Hispanic origins, but also things that happen to white people? When white women are attacked unjustly, whether it be a person of color or one of their own Johnny Appleseeds that chops them up into little pieces and puts them up in a body bag and dumps them in the river. A story that won't be talked about by the far right, while they will still be recycling a Muslim threat article from 3 years ago. This is sickness. It's also hatred of their own people when they do that, and they're silent about the domestic violence epidemics that they continue to participate in and hide. A lot of people, by the way, on the far right that have interesting domestic violence criminal histories. There's also some people that have been in leadership on the left that have had some sex crimes in their histories. You have a lot of people like to grandstand at the front of protests. All I'm doing now is just speaking my own truth from a place of isolation, a place where no one will hear you scream, but if they do, maybe they'll laugh, or maybe they'll just turn to the other side as they sleep, going, just another person losing their mind, because that's the ultimate reality. The judgment of the left in Portland exiled me, a city in which I was born in, a city in which I was on the air in, and it was meant to be, but it happened for a reason. They were not resonating with my warnings, but what have my warnings been? It's what you're facing now and what's coming after 2020. Everything that they're talking about, everything that they're freaking, there's never been a time where some of the main concerns that I've put out there are now out there, and it's because of the intuition. It's because some things are obvious and moving into action. And they'll say, oh no, it's just this side. We just got to get a Democrat in. They don't realize something controls both sides. And they can create something like Trump losing the election, though he's not acting like he's really working all that hard to win. He's doing a lot of dumb things. Some people think he's doing brilliant things with bombing Syria 2 years in a row on April 2017, April 2018. Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, a real anti-war candidate. So, and it just goes on and on and on. So not even trying to like rationalize with them because the other side isn't going to give us saviorship. Don't lose your marbles just exposing Trump. What's the alternative? His brother, his sister? I mean, like I said from the beginning, like Hillary and Donald Trump are probably fucking. Like people would hear that from me and dude, I got to get away from this Alex guy. He's a fucking lunatic. I'm just keeping it real. I literally said that to a guy on my property who I needed some help to work on my car. He was off my property in 30 seconds flat. Like, fuck this shit. Like Keith, he says he's into conspiracy theories. Okay, fake ones or real ones? Because the reality is the left and the right has worked together to fuck us. And the left and the right has marginalized conspiracy theorists. And if you just put everything that's contrary into the category of conspiracy theory, how are you winning? So let's go back to the fake New Agers. In another example, I mean, you have people that literally listen to people talk about the ascension. But are they talking about like literally their bodies floating out of the planet, or like their spirits evolving beyond this world because they did good deeds? That's traditional spiritual teachings. I don't hear them talking about those traditional spiritual teachings that have been around for thousands of years regarding real karma. They use the word karma, but they don't take it all the way. All the way. What they do is talk about a physical ascension to where we might go up in a spacecraft. I've seen this bullshit in the 1980s. I see it today with the kinds of David Wilcock individuals that literally give Galactic Federation of Light endorsements to people like Vladimir Putin, Barack Obama, and Donald Trump. They literally did it when Obama was up and coming, Wilcock specifically, and others. And then when it was time for the next election, they were literally giving some sort of endorsement saying they got a channeled message saying that the aliens supported the next candidate. I bet they do. I mean, they just don't know how deep that statement is. Only they don't seem to understand the difference between the light and the dark. And so there's a lot of people that are good, that are on this planet, that were born with good souls, and they're duped into the politics of the left and the right, under the guise of protecting the women, protecting the tribe. I mean, the principles are the same on the left and the right. The idea of protecting and preserving and conserving the genetic code. I'm not talking about racial supremacy. Some people take in that direction. We're talking about just the species. But a lot of people get wrapped up in the illusions of separation with regards to other ethnicities. In the same way that Chloe, a hardcore Bernie supporter, as a female, like she's the opposite of what the right wing thinks the left thinks. They say, oh, the left, they want the muzzies, they want this, they want, like in my experience, being what I am, dealing with left women, it is not that at all. There's so much fear. And a lot of the anti-male stuff is wrapped up with that and the gender warfare. But the type of utopia for Muslims that they describe is like something that they're like dreaming up out of a fucking porno they watched last night. That's not actual reality. And by the way, America isn't Sweden. There's a big difference between American women and European women. I've never been to Europe. So people are also going to compare continents as if Europe is America and America is Europe. I'll tell you, the American women that I've come across are not friendly and are not sexually curious to a certain degree. Not anymore, right? The type of men, I went to California. I saw tons of brown women with tall white men. Am I like going to create propaganda to try to get in the way of that? No, but I saw what I saw in San Diego. Let's get real. Hot Hispanic chicks with tall whites. Like the way in which they present to us on the internet what women want, who they're with, is really perverted. And so in some cases, there are going to be people that are going to explore. And there's plenty of men that go explore with all types of flavors of the rainbow. So let's get real. Let's get really real. More real than they've ever been before. And let's have a big epiphany, all of us, and wake up from the madness. And what is racism anyway? A bunch of sperm cells racing to the egg. I made that up. To me, it's real. To me, the whole world is about people fighting over who is laying down with who. Like the world, we literally like fell into a fallen world controlled by some sort of sick program, some sort of sick architect, and made us super horny and lustful, and then punished us as we started producing more of ourselves. And then armies were created, and then metals were forged, and then we were divided. Okay, now I'm going too deep for you, but it's like, basically using one's intuition combined with questioning reality makes one a modern day Gnostic. Uh, AI, or AKA, i.e., a conspiracy theorist, and that is being demonized. And it's really important for people to understand that in the past, even various forms of religions where the woman was venerated, not suppressed, right? This is like that same type of energy. And women that don't want to be suppressed or asleep at the wheel to the energy of oppression that they're participating in. There was literally a group called the Gnostics as well as the Cathars that were murdered by the Orthodox Christian. Um, that's not to put down all Christians, but to cite history. And so, like, there's elements of perceiving reality in the past. They would persecute people and call them a witch, maybe even rape them before a public square. And the question is, how is the left of today more evolved than that if they're going to call us crazy or unstable for looking deeper at the nature of our enslavement. But the real world is doing that to us. The real world, the so-called professional leftists and others, they're in the big real journalism. Wall Street Journal, ooh, they're on real TV. They're on, and it's like, it's really a world of like worshiping still a few people. And yet, again, we look at Kyle, Sam Cedar, you have all these people that are like talking about the threat of white supremacy. And then you look at the main voices on the left, it's white people with their token minorities, and they don't discuss the genocide overseas. The left can't beat the right wing because the left is still not addressing white supremacy and anti-Themism. The anti-Themism is the multicultural, multiracial, stomping on the face of the Middle East. This isn't just some buzzword that I came up with. This is the nightmare that the people of the Middle East are living under. Multiple nations, multiple ethnicities, for whatever reason, targeting them in the anti-Themism campaign just because you're a human and you don't understand the nature of evil or the devil of this world. And I think for a lot of people, that's it. They've been duped into this. There is no evil. Everything is just some war over resources. And I've even heard some leftists in Portland say, with regards to my criticisms of drone attacks in Afghanistan and Pakistan, literally a dude with a tie-dye t-shirt in Portland, Oregon said to me, but isn't the world overpopulated? No, I'm going to leave you with that. And I'm going to leave the right wing with that thinks that the left is so loving and trying to stop our murders. When they cite these things, they say, wasn't the world overpopulated? Right? Literally somebody with a tie-dye t-shirt who's playing up that hippie role is citing too many people on the planet, so maybe let those Pakistanis die. Where are the people that are supposedly anti-racist, anti-Trump, involved in these protests? Why are they unable to find my YouTube channel? And leave a comment down below saying, hello, Alex, this is Jennifer from Denver. You know, I'm of a certain political persuasion, but just want to let you know we're aware that you exist and that you're a human. You know, something like that. Why doesn't it happen? If YouTube's so left and is so suppressive to the conservatives, and the world is so brown, and the world is so black, and the world is so where are they in the comment section? It's like there are things that people really need to think about in order to see the truth. I'm Alex Ansari, hoping you enjoyed today's deprogramming podcast. May you have healing today. I want to thank those of you that are contributing, that are well, you're elevating my spirits at this time. We'll talk to you next time.